Let's talk about TRAPTRIX. Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, we're doing a Let's Talk About video with the archetype TRAPTRIX. And if you didn't hear, in very recent Yu-Gi-Oh news, the OCG confirmed that we're getting a TRAPTRIX Link monster, or they're getting a TRAPTRIX Link monster in Link Frames Pack 2. We don't know when we're getting it here, but we know it is a thing, which is really cool, and it's a really actually good monster in general. So it's gotten me back, like, looking at TRAPTRIX again. I think there are some very interesting stun capabilities this deck has. And yeah, honestly, I'm just excited that I just revamped because when I started playing the game again about a year ago, I was interested in TRAPTRIX, and obviously at that point, like, TRAPTRIX had already been power crept. It was already probably considered a pretty weak deck. I just thought they were cool. I liked their designs, and I liked the trap aspect, the stun aspect that it could do. But yeah, so today we're going to go over like what kind of cards, and there's not even that many cards in the archetype, but so this should be relatively quick, and yeah, let's just jump right into it. So if you don't know, TRAPTRIX are an archetype where built around trap hole cards. They've made a series of different trap hole cards, trap cards, and TRAPTRIX were designed to work specifically with them. I don't know if they originally intended it to be so, or if they just made TRAPTRIX after Trap Hole was already a thing and was like, you know, let's make an archetype built around Trap Hole. It's a staple trap card. It's one of the original, like, fun, awesome trap cards from, like, way, way earlier in the game. Very, very old card, and they made new iterations of Trap Hole that have been better and better and different, cover different bases. And yeah, so that gives you a basis. It's kind of like a stun sort of deck where you set, you know, trap hole back rows, and you try and just keep your opponent from getting enough board presence to really overwhelm you, and then slow and steady you control the duel, and you take it from there as the duel goes on. So that's kind of how the deck works. Let's go through some of the monsters here. So the first monster I have here is TRAPTRIX Mermelio. This is one of my favorite ones. So I think they're either insects or plants. I think all of them are either insects or plants. Which is weird, but I mean, whatevs. This card is unaffected by the effects of whole normal trap cards. Not too relevant. I mean, no decks are really playing whole trap cards other than TRAPTRIX, so I guess in the mirror match it's relevant, but other than that, not so much. When this card is normal summoned, you can add one whole normal trap card from your deck to your hand. Alright. And if this card is special summon, target one spell or trap card your opponent controls and destroy it. So, nice little back row snipe, nice little search a trap card. I mean, this card's just a nice +1, and it just helps get you stunned a little faster. So, really good card. This is one of the best starter cards in the deck. Definitely one of the cards you want to be your normal summon. Then we have TRAPTRIX Nepenthes. This one is plant instead of insect. Big booty, small attack. I believe they're all level 4 as well. Yeah, I think they're all level 4. Unaffected by whole normal trap cards. If you activate a whole normal trap card except during the damage step, you can add to your hand or special summon one TRAPTRIX monster straight from the deck. That's actually a pretty cool effect. The only problem is you do have to wait for a normal whole trap card for you to activate one of those. So it is slow, but it is still a special summon from deck, so you still need to consider that. I don't know if you'd play it just because of it's so slow, but I do think it's worth considering at the very least. So then we have TRAPTRIX Atrax. This is one of the iffier ones. So TRAPTRIX Atrax is 1800, so it is beat stick status, unaffected by whole trap cards. I think the main deck monsters have that same effect. You can activate whole normal trap cards straight from the hand. That is one of the good things here, where it makes all your trap holes hand traps in the hand. So that's really, really cool. The activation effects of normal trap cards activate on your side of the field cannot be negated. Another nice little thing where even if your opponent has a negate in motion, they can't do anything with it. It doesn't matter. So interesting card, but it doesn't get you any advantage. It just makes some of your cards more playable. So I'm still iffy on Atrax. And then we have TRAPTRIX Dionea. Unaffected by hold normal trap cards, just the same as the other. When this card is normal summon, you can target a Traptrix monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense mode. Okay, a monster reborn on normal summon. That's pretty cool. And then when this card is special summoned, you can target one hold normal trap card in your graveyard, set that target, but banish it during the end phase of your next turn if it is still on the field. So that's really, really nice. I love the recursion aspect of this card. The card reminds me of like almost like a super pseudo Ninja Grandmaster Hanzo. On like normal summon it gets you advantage, on special summon it gets you advantage, but they're different types of advantage, and that's pretty cool. The only thing is it is from grave, so you do need to like set up the grave a little bit. So turn 1 this card may not be as good, but as a follow-up play, this card can definitely get you some really good advantage, especially when you're trying to grind. So really cool. Like this card a lot. Also it's 1700, so it is like semi beat stick status, which I love. I love a good beat stick. Then we have Traptrix Mantis. This is the last main deck monster. On normal summon, you can add a Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand. None of them special from hand. That's what I think I missed. Like this one could be so much better if they just had one Traptrix monster that had like an effect that was like, if you control a Traptrix monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and that makes this card twice as good. But it doesn't. So this card is unaffected by the effects of normal whole trap cards. Once per turn, quick effect, you can target one set spell or trap card you control, return it to the hand, then you can set one spell or trap from your hand. So you can kind of do a little swap. That doesn't really seem too relevant. I guess if you searched on your opponent's turn, you could then swap if the thing you searched is what you need and the one, like a card you already have set, is not really what you need. But how many of these cards are going to search on your opponent's turn? I guess the Link. Does the Link search on your opponent's turn? I think it might. But we'll get there soon. This card, it feels like this card's like awkward. Like it doesn't necessarily work with the other ones so well, but it definitely has potential should the deck get more ways to like speed up a little bit. But we'll see. Interesting card nonetheless. So then let's move to hold trap cards, because this is what you're going to be searching. This is what you're going to be setting. These are going to be your main stun factors. And I think one of the best ones is Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare, though actual Traptrix trap hole card that was designed to be both. Like it's a whole trap hole and it's Traptrix specifically. This card says, when a monster that was special summoned this turn activates its effect on your opponent's side of the field, negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card. Pretty simple, pretty basic, pretty powerful. Honestly, because that's going to happen so often. I mean, just imagine like decks that go into Isold. On summon, Isold, search, you can hit it. As long as they're not chain blocking you, you hit it. And if they activate Isold's other effect, boom, negate and destroy. Like it's a pretty powerful card, because that's kind of how like decks work nowadays. You special summon something from the extra deck and then you use its effect to spam, and this card just shuts that down. So really nice card. It's probably the best one. Bottomless Trap Hole. This deck is like the first way we've seen Bottomless Trap Hole be relevant since it came back to 3 in the TCG. It's an alright card. When your opponent summons a monster with 1500 or more attack, a monster or monsters, destroy that monster or monsters with 1500 or more attack, and if you do, banish it / them, I guess. So that only works like if your opponent's summoning multiple things at the same time and they're all over 1500, you can destroy them banishing. The reason this card is like not as great is because if something gets summoned and it has an effect that pops off on summon, they still get that effect. Like if your opponent normal summons Candina, they still get the Candina search. So you're just kind of like, they still got the plus. I took away their Candina, but they still got the plus. So it's not amazing. Doesn't shut that down completely. It does banish though, which is nice, but it also destroys and then banishes. So there are still some float effects that still pop off because you destroy them first. So keep that in mind. This card does still have some holes to it, pun intended, but it's still a decent card. Just killing stuff and banishing them on summon, which is nice. Then we have Floodgate Trap Hole. This is one of the, and at a point like a couple years ago, I'm sure this card could have been much better, but now it's kind of been power crept. It just says, when your opponent summons a monster or monsters, change that monster or monsters to face down defense mode, and monsters changed this way cannot be flipped face up. Can't have their battle positions changed. So it's just kind of like a shutdown. They summon something, bloop, put it down. Nothing. You can't use it. So it's like, it's okay. I just don't think it's amazing nowadays. I guess you can't link with it. I guess it's decent overall. I guess it is a pretty decent card. So maybe you'd play it. I'm not entirely sure because there are some other, like, you can't play too many trap hole cards, right? Because it's just going to be too much. And then we have Time Space Trap Hole. This one's very powerful as well. When your opponent special summons a monster or monsters from the hand or extra deck, shuffle them into the deck, then you lose 1,000 for each returned monster. Like, the life points are rough, but like, you're just straight up, you're just saying gone for whatever your opponent just summoned from the extra deck or hand, but usually you're going from extra deck. So actually really solid card. You definitely probably play this one and Nightmare. I'm not sure about the other ones. Treasure Trap Hole. This is a very relevant card in Duel Links, I know. And I don't know if you play it, but I wanted to bring it up because I think it does have a decent ceiling. So this card says, if you have no trap cards in your graveyard, which again is actually kind of tough because you're playing a trap heavy deck, so that's like the biggest drawback of this card. But if you don't have any trap cards in your graveyard, you can target 2 monsters on the field and destroy them. So it's a target destruction, but it's 2 cards at the same time. So a decent ceiling. You are giving your opponent a -2, and you're only going -1. So you're sort of plussing there in the economy versus your opponent game. And I think the last one here is Void Trap Hole. The last like relevant one. So when your opponent special summons a monster with 2,000 or more attack, period, negate the effects of one of those monsters with 2,000 or more attack, and if you do, destroy it. That's not a bad card. Definitely something I would consider. It is restricted to 2,000 or more, and there are a lot of combo pieces in the game right now that just don't have 2,000 attacks. So like, they just dodge this, and there are ways for people to play around this if they know it's there. But if they also don't know it's there, they could go into Firewall, and you negate and destroy Firewall, and then their board is going to be extremely mediocre from there. So, in those combo decks. So, a decent card. I think definitely should consider it. And then the last 2 cards are your extra deck cards, which is Traptrix Rafflesia is the first one. Takes any 2 level 4 monsters. It's unaffected by all trap effects while it has an XYZ material. And Traptrix monster you control, except for herself, cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. So they need to get rid of her before they get rid of the other Traptrix monsters. She has a 2,500 booty, which is pretty big. And then your opponent cannot target Traptrix monsters you control with card effects either. Okay, so yeah, just protects them from destruction and being targeted. So that's pretty good. And then the most important effect, or stun effect, says once per turn during either player's turn, you can attach a material from this card to send any whole normal trap card that meets its activation conditions from your deck to the graveyard, and this effect becomes that trap card's effect when that card was activated. So the way this kind of works is like all the trap holes, most of the trap holes work on summon. So like if your opponent summons something, you can chain Rafflesia to send a trap hole to grave, and then it's like the trap hole was pretty much already set on your field and you're just activating it. It just kind of works like that. So pretty good stun card that like, it's just a generic rank 4 that like if you just make it, you can just access any trap hole card. It's just a free kind of negate with like the Traptrix Trap Hole or Void Trap Hole, or like the ones that negate. So yeah, it's a pretty good card. I really like this card, especially in this deck. Pretty cool. And then we have the new Link monster. She's gorgeous. She's beautiful. I want to pull up her effects on Yu-Gi-Oh! Fandom. So she pretty much says she's a Link 1. She needs 1 Traptrix monster except for a Link monster, so you cannot use herself to link into a new one. This Link summon card is unaffected by trap effects, period. And both of her effects are hard once per turns. The first effect says if a normal trap card is activated, special summon a Traptrix monster straight from the deck with a name different than the ones you control. Pretty damn good, especially since some of them have like effects that pop off on special summon. There's the one that resets a trap hole in grave on special summon, so that's pretty good recursion and stuff. And then the second effect says if your other Traptrix monster's effect is activated, you can set 1 normal trap directly from your deck. So very basic combos. If you already had a trap in, or a hole in grave, you could special the one that resets that one from grave, and then because you activated the other Traptrix monster, then you could set 1 straight from the deck. So like literally you just special summon 1 and then set 2 like trap holes, and as long as they're a good combo, that could be enough to shut down your opponent's turn. So very, very cool stun aspects to this deck. I actually think, you know, I don't know if all the support is there that the deck would need, but there's definitely some very, very cool things. I mean, with some supplements, this deck could really do some powerful things. Like if you play separate engines, like I don't know, this is obviously a going first deck, but who's to say that like Mech Knights wouldn't be good with this, because the deck clearly has trouble putting damage on board, so you would need a secondary engine that can help you get some damage output. Once you stun your opponent, on the next turn you try and go for the kill. So I think Mech Knights are a pretty good option for that. The only problem is Mech Knights aren't as good going first. But all you need is one trap trick and like a trap. So you just can link into the link one, set a trap under it, and then you have that opened up zone to summon your Mech Knight there. So something to consider. I think this deck is super, super cool. I'm really excited for this because I love control-based decks. That's one of my favorite decks to play. It's just those decks are way more interactive and fun than like these like combo and then kill in one turn decks. Those just like don't really I don't know, satiate my needs, my Yu-Gi-Oh fun needs. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys are excited as I am about this deck. And yeah, I just want to talk about it because I think they're really, really cool. And I'm going to stop rambling. I always ramble. There, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, subscribe for more Let's Talk About videos. I might be talking about every single archetype that got support, or is going to get support in Link Frames Pack 2, just to see like what they do, because for a while a lot of them have been like power crept and stuff, so I didn't look at them before, and now they have a Link monster that will make them more relevant. They're more fun to look at. They're more interesting because they have the new power boost. So subscribe if you're excited for that, and I'm gonna get the heck out of here, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your Tuesday and Thanksgiving if you celebrate that. Otherwise, just have a great Thursday upcoming.